All right, hello. My name is Michael Van Hatten. I'm the senior GIS analyst for the Utah Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining. And my presentation today is about electronic inspection modernization and how we've been doing that here at the division. So our goal was to take the old, outdated way of doing inspections on pen and paper and modernize it, bring some electronics into it. Our goals were to increase efficiency, to give our inspectors more available data in the field, to increase the reporting functions they had available to them, and importantly, reduce the time spent on inspections. So we did that a couple of ways. We did that through electronic inspections using Survey123, a GIS model that produces a inspection priority value for all of our oil and gas wells across the state. We then utilized the AGRC's forklift script to get some of our data out of our databases and into Arcgis Online. From there, how that works in the field, how our inspectors use that, and then finally, how we get the data collected in the field back into our SQL servers using a service called Integromat. So the big reason why we did this in the oil and gas program, they do roughly 10,000 inspections per year. With the old system, they were looking at an almost 2-minute wait just for response from the database so that they could see the information pertaining to their well. Once there, another 30 seconds or so of navigating the interface. And from there, they then had to transcribe their notes that they took in the field into the back into their computer and submit it into the database. So overall, this was really stacking up, and it was taking a lot of time for our inspectors, transcribing their notes they took in the field and having to put that back into the computer at the office. So we thought, how do we cut that out? Well, the first way was using Survey123. So using Survey123, we developed these electronic inspection forms, and they're more or less based off of the existing paper versions or the existing database that we had before. So question for question, answer for answer. It was really pretty much the same thing, just in electronic form. One important thing that I'll reiterate later on is to match database fields in your survey. So you want to make sure that questions you have in the database are questions you answer in the survey, so that you're filling everything out nicely. If you want to know more about how we developed our Survey123s, look at Kim Coburn's presentation, where she dives a little deeper into how we go about developing Survey123. The oil and gas program also now has something called inspection priority. So this is a GIS model that was developed and produced by the Groundwater Protection Council, but it essentially compares some geographic factors and data and some operational factors and data, and produces an overall priority level for every oil and gas well in the state. So you can see from here, we did this, and I'm going to go over it simply, but we got all of our GIS data, whether geographic or operational. We created some buffers. We intersect those buffers with our locations of our wells, and we from there can run a model that calculates a score, and that score is produced into a mapping component. If you're curious, if you want to learn more about this is a very, very interesting model that we have for us. Mark Gwynn's presentation goes more into depth on the inspection priority model and how that all works. So what we get looks a bit like this. You can see all of our oil and gas wells are color coded, red being the highest priority. So you can see here, along this river corridor, we have some higher priority wells than maybe out here, kind of not along the river. So kind of what it looks like. This is what we get. It once clicked on it, you can see the overall priority that dictates the color here, and some of the other operational and geographic priority scores that are produced from that model, as well as the well information. So how did we get there? How did we get from our SQL database to Arcgis Online? We did that utilizing the AGRC's forklift model. That model takes a view table that is in our SQL database that we have given them access to. It takes that table, opens it in Arc Pro, and using some scripting publishes that data to Arcgis Online into a hosted feature service. It's published to a admin account that we have at OGM, and then from there we can serve it out to whatever inspectors or whoever needs it. So here we are again on Arcgis Online with all this data. It's updated nightly, and so every day, if anything changes, it's up to date. If something changes in the model, the points will change, and the inspectors will be able to see that change. So what do you do with it now? It's not a ton of use just sitting in the office when they really need to get out into the field. So we push that data into Collector. Using Collector, our inspectors can look around, see what points might be important to them. They can click on the point and get whatever well information they need, operator name, API number, and they can also see the inspection priority data and the scoring model and exactly what score that well has. The other really useful thing with Collector is that it gives turn-by-turn directions to a site. As you can imagine, I think we have over 10,000 wells in the state, and it's pretty hard to remember where all those are. So giving our inspectors a way to navigate directly to a particular well is very important. They're able to, in Collector, search off of the unique well identification number and then get directions directly to that site. And then once at site, it's also very important that they're able to do their inspection quickly and efficiently. So here we have Survey123 opening up and the well information being automatically filled out. So they're able to go directly to the questions they have to answer on site. This integration comes directly out of Collector in the pop-up here. They can click Field Inspection, and all of the well information is pushed from Collector directly into the survey, filling out this top well information area automatically. This drastically cuts down, added time of entering inspector names, or excuse me, not inspector names, but like operator name or well type, things like that. So just another way to keep them efficient and keep them moving. So once they submit their survey, as we're aware of back at the office, you can view the data in Survey123 or survey123.com through their portal, where you can view the data and do what you must with it. But for our needs, we needed to get the inspection data out of Survey123 and back into our SQL servers where it came from, to be stored in its appropriate database. So how do we do that? Well, before we talked about how we went from SQL Server to Arcgis Online, and from Arcgis Online into things like Collector and Survey123. And as you're probably aware, that stuff can also be used for dashboards. But once the survey was done, once the inspection was done, we needed that data to come out of Arcgis Online or out of Survey123 and back into our SQL server so it can be saved in the oil and gas RBDMS database where it is supposed to be. So we did that using a web service called Integromat. Integromat is an online webhook service, and it allows you to directly connect your Survey123 data to your Microsoft SQL Server. This service runs nightly, or excuse me, not nightly, it runs automatically. So the moment a survey is pushed in, the data is pulled from Survey123 and pushed into the appropriate SQL server. Some other useful things with Integromat, we also have some of the data pushing to some Google Sheets for some other uses. And then we also are able to pull any inspection photos that are taken out of Survey123. we're able to give them a name and drop them into a shared drive for a secondary or a backup of those photos and easy access for any other inspectors. Some things not shown here we use Integromat for, things like automated emails or alerts, which we use for some other workflows. But Integromat itself is a very useful service that allows you to do a lot of automated things with, as I'm going to show here, some very easy point and click type flows. Here's my server, Microsoft SQL Server, and the green here is the data from the Survey123, and I have it populating the different tables in the SQL Server that I'm looking, or the table in the SQL Server I'm looking to push through. So as you can see, I'm able to just drag and drop, which attribute of the survey, the county, directly into the county field for the SQL Server. There's only a little bit of coding that's involved. Sometimes with dates, you need to get them formatted correctly. But other than that, it's there's very little to almost no coding involved with Integromat to move this data around, which for me I find super helpful because I am by no means a coder. And so what does that get us? Well, that gets us a system that every night the field inspection data is updated and available in mobile form so that our inspectors can make the best decisions in the field and have access to more data than they were privy to in the past. That allows them to do their inspections quicker and more efficiently. And then from there, we can pull that data back out into our SQL Server and populate the databases we need to populate. So in all, we're able to pull out of the SQL Server and push back into the SQL Server without our inspectors having to do any additional data entry once they've left the field. They don't have to come back to the office and re-enter their note that they took in the field into their RBDMS so that it can get into their SQL Server. It's all done automatically for them, and they don't have to worry about it. So another great thing about this system is it can populate things like dashboards. This dashboard here for the oil and gas program, gives great overall situational awareness. The useful thing for us is this is highly customizable and it can all be done in-house. We don't have to ask or wait for any third parties or any other companies to do this for us. With our subscription to Arcgis Online, this is available to really anyone in our staff. And what they find interesting, we can produce here and show to them. And so this has really upped some of the reporting metrics from the past and really given us a way to quickly answer some questions about what's being inspected or what needs to be inspected. So that has been very useful as well. Let's see. Finally, I wanted to talk about some outcomes that we have gotten out of this. Importantly, we were able to really cut down the time of these inspections. We think we're saving quite a bit of time from that with the automatic updates and the availability of this data in the field. Our inspectors are able to make better choices and do better inspections. And do more inspections, frankly. And again, with things like dashboards, we have some better reporting metrics available to us to answer any questions or look for any maybe shortfalls in our work. And then I had some final thoughts for discussion. These are some ideas to look out for, some things to look out for if you decide to go down the path of developing some similar workflows. It's important to know that before going out into the field, your inspectors would want to sync their tablet or their mobile device with both Survey123 so that their inspection or their survey is as up to date as it needs to be, but also Collector so that their maps and their GIS data is up to date. From there, you will also have to, in our circumstance, download your Collector or areas in Collector for download them for offline use. A lot of our inspections are done outside of cell phone service, so our inspectors have to get their Collector areas downloaded offline before leaving either Wi-Fi or leaving cell phone service. As I mentioned before, but I thought it was worth reiterating, when developing your survey and creating the questions and creating the field names for those questions, it's important to try to match it with your database as much as you can. It helps with the data transfer, but it also just helps to keep things organized and know which questions are going where. And then one thing to look out for is right now, at least for us, we're having some capability issues with collectors offline maps. It seems to be a limiting factor where it is not always working as intended or working in a way that we were looking for, but hopefully with time that will get a little better. Finally, I just wanted to give a special thanks to some of our staff members, Bart Kettle, Richard Powell, Mark Gwynn, and Kim Coburn, as well as any other division staff that have helped with this project. It really was a big group effort to get this, from inspectors to managers to our director, John Baza. Everyone has had some sort of buy-in and had some sort of contribution to this effort. So a really big thanks to them. And finally, Nathan Coda and Scott Davis from the AGRC. Their forklift script has really been very important for getting this workflow off the ground. And without their support, this really wouldn't be possible. So thanks to them as well. Finally, Paul Gedge at the DNR. He has been very helpful getting the OGM presentations ready for UGIC and has really gone above and beyond to make sure that we look good and that our presentations are done. So thanks, Paul. Finally, if anyone has any questions or would like to know more about this or anything like that, feel free to contact me here at these addresses. And yeah, thank you so much.